There comes a moment in life when everything feels heavy, the silence feels louder than words, waiting feels endless, and memories from the past keep echoing in your mind more than hopes for the future. You might be standing at a point where everything inside you feels tired, like too much time has slipped away. You look back and see missed chances, wrong turns, broken moments, painful experiences, and dreams that never came true. And in that place, a voice tries to convince you that it's too late, that your story has already reached its end, that nothing good is left ahead. But that voice is not the truth. Your life is not finished and your story is not over. The seasons you think were wasted are not forgotten by God. What you see as loss, heaven sees differently. There is a promise that restoration is real, that what was taken, broken, or delayed can be rebuilt again. God is not limited by time the way we are. He is the one who brings life back to what looked dead, who turns ruins into something new, who breathes hope into places that felt empty for too long. You are not disqualified because of your past. You are not beyond recovery because of your mistakes. The past may have shaped you, but it does not define what comes next. There is an enemy that tries to convince you that your timeline is ruined, that too many years are gone, and that you have fallen behind. But that is not how your story is measured. Your future is not decided by what went wrong before, but by a purpose that is still active over your life. Even the tears you cried were not ignored. Every silent night, every hidden pain, every moment you felt alone, none of it went unseen. What felt like delay was not absence. What felt like silence was not abandonment. Sometimes in those unseen seasons, something deeper is being built within you. Strength is forming quietly. Character is being shaped in ways you could not notice at the time. You may have gone through loss, heartbreak, confusion, or decisions that led you into places you never wanted to be. But even those moments are not wasted in the hands of God. What looks like brokenness can become preparation. What feels like emptiness can become space for something greater to enter your life. There is a hidden process happening even when nothing seems to change on the surface. Restoration is not about simply getting back what was lost. It is about receiving something greater than before. Life does not always return in the same form. It returns with growth, wisdom, and a deeper sense of purpose. Like stories where everything seemed destroyed only for a greater ending to appear later, your life carries the same possibility of transformation. What is rebuilt can become stronger than what existed before. Your struggles are not signs that you are forgotten. They are part of a process that is shaping a future you cannot yet see. The quiet seasons, the waiting periods, the times you felt stuck, these are not empty gaps in your life. They are foundations being formed. And when the shift comes, it will feel like everything starts aligning in ways you never expected. There will be a moment when everything begins to change, not because you forced it, but because something greater begins to unfold. What was delayed will no longer feel delayed. What was broken will no longer feel lost. Clarity will replace confusion, courage will replace fear, and strength will replace exhaustion. Do not believe the thought that it is too late. Life has no expiration when purpose is still alive. People may have limitations, but divine timing does not. There are examples everywhere of lives restarting, of destinies awakening later than expected, of people rising after long silence. Your age, your past, or your mistakes do not cancel what is still meant for you. The real shift begins when you stop trying to fix everything alone and start trusting the process that is already working beyond what you can see. You are not being asked to be perfect. You are being asked to believe that your future is still open, still possible, still unfolding. Even when you felt weak, something held you together. Even when you lost hope, something kept you alive. Even when everything inside you felt like giving up, you were still moving forward in ways you did not notice. That alone is proof that your story is not finished. What is coming is not just recovery, but renewal. You will not only survive what you went through, you will grow beyond it. The pain that once defined your days will become the very reason you understand strength differently. The places that once brought shame will no longer hold power over you. Instead, they will become reminders of how far you have come. There is a future where you will look back and realize that nothing was truly wasted. Every delay had meaning. Every struggle had direction. Every silent moment had purpose. And you will understand that you were being guided even when you thought you were lost. So do not settle in defeat. Do not accept the idea that your best days are behind you. There is still more ahead than what is behind. Restoration is not just a possibility, it is already in motion. And when it fully unfolds, it will be clear that your story was never over. So don't turn back in regret, turn forward in faith. Don't measure what's ahead of you by what went wrong behind you. Measure it by the faithfulness of God. The same God who parted the sea is still making paths where there are none in your life. The same God who fed people in the wilderness is still able to provide for you today. The same God who made water come out of a rock can bring life out of the driest areas of your story. And the same power that raised Jesus from the dead is more than able to restore everything you thought was gone forever. So lift your head. Let go of the weight in your chest. Stop carrying the shame of yesterday. You are not abandoned. You are not overlooked. You are not an afterthought in this world. You are still chosen, still seen, still held. And something greater is being poured over your life right now, a restoration that begins deep inside before it ever shows outside. You will shine again. You will rise again. And you will step into a life that reflects what was always intended for you. When restoration comes, you won't look at your past the same way. You will realize even the painful seasons were not wasted. They were shaping something in you, preparing you for what you are becoming. Every tear, every loss, every delay will start to make sense as part of a bigger picture you couldn't see at the time. And here is something important to understand. God is never in a rush, but He is never late either. Even when it feels like life has paused, it's not punishment. Sometimes delay is protection. Sometimes what feels like being held back is actually being prepared for something heavier than you could have carried before. What God is forming in you is greater than what you think you lost. There is a kind of restoration coming that doesn't just return things, it shifts your position completely. You won't just recover what was lost, you will step into places you never imagined reaching. Doors you didn't know existed will open. Conversations you never thought you'd be part of will happen. Influence you never expected will be placed in your hands. This is not about going back to the old level. This is about being raised into what was always meant for you. The years you thought were wasted were actually shaping you like a craftsman shapes something valuable. Even the scars were not random. They were forming strength in your character. You are not just being fixed. You are being refined, realigned, and prepared for a new level of purpose. And understand this deeply. When God restores, He doesn't just restore events or possessions. He restores time itself in ways that human effort cannot explain. Time may feel lost forever to us, but nothing is lost in the hands of the one who created it. He can compress purpose into your future in a way that redeems what you thought was gone. What took others decades to understand, He can unfold in your life in a much shorter season filled with meaning. One moment in His presence can shift what looked impossible for years. One direction from Him can rebuild what seemed destroyed beyond repair. When He moves, you don't need human validation anymore. Things begin to accelerate in ways that feel beyond natural explanation. There is a promise that speaks directly into this reality, that what the enemy tried to steal over years can be restored by God. Not just days, not just moments, but entire seasons. Because nothing in your life is too far gone for redemption. Nothing is too broken for His power to restore. And this restoration is not just about external change. It goes much deeper. It is about who you are becoming. God is not only restoring your circumstances, He is restoring your identity. For too long, labels have been placed on you: failure, broken, forgotten, unworthy, overlooked. But those labels are being removed. They do not define you. A new truth is being written over your life: chosen, loved, redeemed, and made whole. You are not what you went through. You are not your mistakes. You are not your lowest moments. You are what God says you are, and His word over you is final. Even when you fell, you were not erased. Even when you failed, you were not rejected. Grace is not weak. It is powerful enough to rebuild everything that was broken inside you. And when that grace works in your life, it doesn't just clean what is visible, it transforms everything underneath. You come out different, stronger, clearer, more whole than before. There is also a deeper justice in this restoration. It is not just comfort, it is divine correction. What was taken unjustly will not remain lost. What was stolen in silence will be restored with glory. What brought shame will be replaced with honor. This is not revenge in a human sense. It is restoration in a divine sense, where what was broken is made whole again in a way that reflects God's goodness. Even your voice, if it was silenced by pain or disappointment, will return stronger than before. And when you speak again, it will carry weight. It will carry authority. It will carry experience that cannot be faked. Your words will no longer come from just hope, but from lived victory. And when you worship, when you declare, when you stand again in confidence, things around you will shift because of what you have been through and overcome. And even if part of your story includes mistakes you made yourself, even that is not beyond redemption. Grace does not only reach the innocent, it also restores those who wandered, those who fell, those who lost their way. Just like the Father who welcomed back the returning Son without condemnation, you are being met with mercy, not rejection. You are being restored, not shamed. But this restoration does not come through struggle or forcing things to happen. It comes through surrender. It begins when you stop trying to control everything and start trusting the one who already sees the full picture. You are not required to fix your life alone. You are invited to yield it. And when that surrender happens, you will start noticing something different. Peace returns, joy returns, strength returns. Not because everything is instantly perfect, but because something inside you has been realigned. You begin to feel like yourself again, maybe even a version of yourself you never fully knew before. This kind of restoration overflows. It doesn't stay limited to you. People around you will feel it. Your presence will begin to carry change. Your life will become a testimony without you even trying. Others will look at your transformation and realize that something greater has touched your life. And your story will not just be about survival. It will become proof that loss is not the end, proof that delay is not denial, proof that God restores in ways that exceed expectation. So stand again, not in fear but in strength. Dry your tears not because they didn't matter, but because what is coming is greater than what caused them. You are not returning to what was. You are stepping into what is ahead. And what is ahead carries promise, purpose, and restoration beyond what you can imagine. This is not just recovery. This is commissioning. You are not being brought back to the sidelines. You are being prepared for assignment. Everything you endured was not pointless, it was preparation. And now you are being sent forward with strength, clarity, and purpose that was formed through everything you walked through. This was never just a trial you went through, it was a consecration. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. A shaping process that positioned you for a level of authority that only comes after endurance, after faith is tested, and after the soul has been refined through fire. What you may not have seen at the time is that while it felt like the enemy was breaking you, something deeper was happening. You were being built. Every night you cried alone was not wasted. It was developing endurance inside you. Every season where nothing seemed to move was quietly producing patience and discernment. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every prayer that felt unanswered was shaping something strong within your spirit. And now what God is restoring is not only what you lost, but who you became through it all. You are not the same person who entered that season. You are stronger now, wiser, deeper, and spiritually more aware than before. There is a kind of strength in you now that darkness cannot easily shake. That is real restoration, not just returning things, but transforming the person who lived through the loss. This is what it means to be prepared for something greater. You are becoming someone who carries presence, someone who can walk into difficult places and still bring peace, hope, and clarity. Your life is being shaped into something that impacts more than just you. But everything begins with belief. What you believe about God shapes what you are able to receive from Him. If you see Him as distant, you will hesitate. If you see Him as harsh, you will fear. But when you begin to see Him as He truly is, close, compassionate, powerful, and faithful, faith starts to rise inside you naturally. And when faith rises, everything changes. You begin to expect goodness even in uncertainty. You start to speak differently, think differently, and walk differently. Faith becomes the bridge between where you are and what God is bringing into your life. You are not meant to figure everything out. You are meant to trust. Trust when nothing makes sense. Trust when nothing is visible yet. Trust even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Because trust is what opens the door to what God has already prepared. There are times when change is already happening, but you cannot see it yet. Just because it is invisible does not mean it is not real. Restoration often begins in the unseen before it ever becomes visible in the natural. But once it is set in motion, nothing can stop it from manifesting. And yes, resistance often increases right before breakthrough. Things may feel more intense not because you are losing, but because something is about to shift. Opposition is often the sign that movement is near. Pressure before breakthrough is not failure, it is transition. So don't be discouraged when things feel harder just before they change. You are not breaking down, you are breaking through. What the enemy intended for harm is already being turned into something good. The same places that felt like defeat are becoming the very foundation of your elevation. Look at the pattern throughout every story of restoration. There is always pain before power, loss before lifting, wilderness before promise. And your story is no different. What you walk through is not the end of you. It is part of the process that is shaping what comes next. And when restoration fully unfolds in your life, it will not just be personal, it will overflow. You will become someone whose life brings hope to others. Your words will carry weight. Your testimony will lift others out of their own silence. Your presence will bring encouragement into places that feel broken. Even when it felt like nothing was happening, God was still working. Silence was not absence. Delay was not abandonment. Behind the scenes, things were being aligned. Connections were forming. Doors were being prepared. Timing was being perfected. And when everything comes together, it will be undeniable that it was him all along. What once took years will unfold in ways that feel sudden but perfectly timed. And when it happens, no one will be able to take credit for it. It will carry a signature that only heaven can write over a life. This is not just about comfort anymore. This is about commissioning. God does not restore you just to bring you back. He restores you to send you forward. You are being prepared not only to heal, but to carry authority, purpose, and impact. There are people connected to your future who will only be reached through what you went through. There are lives waiting for your story because your testimony will become the key that unlocks hope in them. What you survived was never meant to end with you. It was meant to flow through you. So now is the moment to rise again, to release regret, to let go of shame, to step out of what held you down. This is the time to believe again, to dream again, to speak again with confidence. You are not returning to who you were before the pain. You are stepping into who you were shaped to become because of it. And what is ahead is not just recovery, it is purpose, restoration, and a life that reflects the faithfulness of God in ways you never imagined. The years you think were wasted were never wasted at all. They were being woven together, carefully shaped into a story that will speak long after you. Every moment, even the painful ones, was being placed into a bigger design you couldn't see at the time. Nothing was random, nothing was forgotten. You were never disqualified by what you went through. In truth, you were being prepared. You were not abandoned in those seasons, you were being formed. And what felt like breaking was actually shaping. What felt like loss was actually preparation. And soon your life will reflect something so powerful that people will recognize it could only be God. They will see light rising from what once looked like ashes. They will see strength coming out of places that once felt destroyed. They will witness a transformation so deep that human effort could never explain it. No human system, no advice, no strategy could produce the kind of change that is coming into your life. It will be clear that this is divine work. So hold your head up, not in pride, but in quiet confidence. The same God who allowed you to walk through the valley is the one restoring everything the enemy tried to take. The Father is rebuilding what you thought was beyond repair, and the Spirit is breathing life back into everything that felt lost or silent. You are not forgotten. You are not rejected. You are not done. You are chosen, loved, and still becoming everything you are meant to be. The very years you questioned will become the strongest part of your testimony. What once felt like delay will become evidence of perfect timing. This is your moment to step into that truth. Not later, not someday. Right now. Something is shifting in your life where heaven is not distant, it is near. Grace is already at the door, inviting you into restoration, waiting for you to open your heart fully. Let every doubt loosen its grip on you. Let fear fall away. Let the lies you believed about your past lose their power. You are not walking away from this truth unchanged. You are walking forward with purpose being awakened inside you. Pause and listen inwardly. There is a voice of restoration still speaking over your life. It is reaching into every broken memory, every silent disappointment, every place where you felt alone. And it is saying you are not forgotten. You were never out of reach. You were always seen, even in the hardest moments. You were carried through storms. You were loved even in the fire. And now you are being lifted into something new. But this is not something to simply hear and move on from. It calls for response. It calls for surrender. Open your heart completely. Let go of control. Invite God into every hidden place within you. Ask for renewal not only in your circumstances, but in your inner life, your faith, your strength, your connection, your fire. Because true restoration is not just external, it starts within. Let anything that has grown cold be awakened again. Let anything that has been broken inside be healed again. Let anything that has distracted your heart be removed. Because what God desires most is not just to fix your life, but to walk closely with you again. Return to that place of sincerity. Not with conditions, not with hesitation, but with honesty. A simple open heart that says, I want to come back fully. Let your spirit be renewed. Let your thoughts be realigned. Let your inner world be made whole again. This is not about religion. It is about life being renewed from the inside out. It is not about routine. It is about revival. And it begins in the heart of one person choosing to come back into alignment with truth. Carry this understanding with you. No matter how much has been lost, no matter how long the silence felt, no matter how deep the pain went, restoration is still possible. Not partial restoration, but complete restoration. Not shallow healing, but deep transformation. Not temporary relief, but lasting renewal. So rise again. Let go of what was behind you. Strengthen yourself in hope. Lift your voice again. The season of endless loss is not your final story. A new chapter is opening, and it carries restoration within it. Now walk forward like someone who believes it. Live like someone who has been rebuilt. Speak like someone who has been renewed. And let your life become the evidence that when God restores, He does it fully, beautifully, and beyond expectation. Everything you walked through was never the end of your story, but the shaping of it. The pain, the delay, the silence, and the broken seasons were never signs of abandonment. They were part of a deeper preparation for something greater than you could understand at the time. What felt like loss was actually formation, and what felt like destruction was quietly becoming restoration. You are not who you used to be. You have been refined, strengthened, and prepared through every unseen battle. Now you stand at the edge of a new beginning, where God is not only restoring what was taken, but elevating who you have become through it. Nothing was wasted, nothing was forgotten, and nothing is beyond redemption. The same God who carried you through the fire is now bringing you into fulfillment, where your life becomes living proof that restoration is real, complete, and overflowing with purpose.